Hi folks, and welcome to ATTRIBUTIONS Armory. I was recently contacted by the folks over at KTactical.com to do a review on some of their holsters. And of course, I was happy to oblige given that they were okay with me being completely honest and transparent. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do this review just like every other review that we do. There's going to be pros, there's going to be cons, and there's probably going to be a little bit of stuff in between. So what they sent out was one of the samples of their Kydex lineup, and this is for a Glock 19. And they also sent a sample of their leather lineup, and this is for the Ruger LCP. And before we jump in, please remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and pay us a visit over at ATTRIBUTIONSArmory.com and check out a bottle of our citrus-powered synthetic CLP. Now, let's get to it. So let's take a look at our Kydex line first. Now, the first thing that I noticed about this is that it's actually really quite nicely formed. I do like the way that they've got good solid channel up here for the sights. They've got also a good solid channel here if you install an extended slide release. It's pretty ergonomic. It's nicely put together. It doesn't have any real, nasty edges. The finish is quite good, and I would say that it's on par with really any other high-end type of Kydex holster that I've seen. On the pros side, one thing that I really like about it is that they actually cut in an adjustment notch here on one of these screws here that hold the clip on, so you can kind of adjust the angle of that clip to kind of fit your optimal draw angle. I also like that the clip has a little bit of an upward angle here to kind of properly retain on your belt, so this thing's not going to just go anywhere randomly without you wanting it to come off. And it's also got the tension adjustment screw right here, which you can kind of adjust how tight that clamps onto your gun and get just the optimal amount of retention. Another thing that I do like is that they left just a little bit of extra material at the bottom here. I don't like it to be too close to the muzzle, to be ground too close, because I kind of feel like it just tends to get more gunk and stuff in there. It seems to have just about the right amount of material remaining at the bottom. And the material itself appears to be a laminated dual compound Kydex. They've got kind of a red Kydex on the inside and a black Kydex on the outside. And they do kind of have a little bit different texture to them. The black one on the outside is a little bit more of a matte type finish, and the red one on the inside is a little more glossy. Now, on the cons side, really, there's not a whole lot for me to gripe about with this thing. I mean, it does exactly what I need it to do. It's very straightforward design. I like the ergonomics. One of the things that I'm not really too keen on, bright color, the bright red, but I kind of prefer it to be a more low-key color. I realize this is kind of part of their branding and their design, but if for some reason my shirt comes up or something like that, I just don't really want any bright colors anywhere around my gun to attract attention. So that's kind of one of the first things that I think I would probably change about it, is I would just go with a straight black or maybe like a dark gray on the inside. And the only other thing that I think is kind of, it could use a little bit of an upgrade is, let me show you, this is another Kydex holster that I have, and this is, this is one that's made here in the United States. Of course, this is imported, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but they actually have two of the retention adjustment screws here on the front end, so you can kind of really fine-tune the retention all the way up to front of the muzzle right there. This is not like a big deal. I wouldn't say to worry about not having this too much, but it is just kind of one extra thing that maybe a slightly more, well, significantly more expensive domestically made holster has going for it. Now, I just mentioned that this is imported, and I understand they're kind of going for the budget market, right? So, making handmade holsters in the United States is expensive. Labor here is expensive, and then you've got benefits, healthcare, all that stuff. So it's going to be hard to make a holster in this price range here in the United States. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the country that this is manufactured in, because we try to steer clear of politics. But really, beyond that, I mean, for the money, you're getting a great holster. I don't really have have any issues with their Kydex line at all. I've been carrying with this for a few weeks now just to really test it out thoroughly, and I've had a great experience with it. No quarrels whatsoever. Again, you can check it out at ktactical.com, and you can see their full lineup. They've got all kinds of options for all sorts of different guns. Next up, let's take a quick look at the leather lineup. And those of you guys that are into leather holsters, you'll probably appreciate some of the features that they've got going here at the price point that they've got it going at. Now, I've got to be really straight up with you guys and transparent. I'm not really a leather holster guy. I've got my reasons for it. I've had some firearms that suffered permanent finish damage from leather, and so generally speaking, I just don't really do leather holsters. Now that said, this is actually a pretty well made leather holster. They've got all of the contours properly formed in there. I mean, everything down to a little notch for the mag release, a little notch for the takedown pin, all that good stuff. This is properly molded and form fitted, and it actually gives you a little bit of retention. You can see that I can hang the gun upside down and it does not fall out of the holster. So that's a good thing. That's a positive sign that this holster was made properly. On the pros side, just to kind of recap, I do like the way that this was formed and kind of molded, I guess you would call it, maybe more like pressed. I do like the way that the cuts are made. I think they made the right cuts in the right places. Overall, I think from an ergonomic standpoint and from just a fit and finish standpoint, it's a very well executed holster. Also, you can see here that the clip is quite well done. It's got a good positive closure, and really I've got no concerns about this thing coming unclipped without my permission. Now on the cons side, really not a lot of major gripes here. Again, I kind of would prefer just black stitching instead of the red stitching, just to make it a little bit less stand out-ish. There's a reason I don't carry a gold Desert Eagle too, because I just don't want it to stand out if I accidentally happen to raise a jacket or a shirt or bend over and have something come out. Very minor deal there. The actual quality of the leather, I would say, is kind of an entry-level quality. It doesn't feel like a premium top grain leather. It does kind of have kind of a cardboardish feel to it. It definitely seems like legit leather. It probably can't expect premium top grain leather at this price point. You'd probably be looking at paying at least 50 to 100% more for a premium top grain leather. That said, for the price, you are getting a leather holster. If that's kind of what you're into, you're looking for a leather holster, I think it's got a lot of bang for the buck and solid choice in the value holster market. So that about wraps it up, folks. You can see that you really don't have to spend a ton of money to get a decent holster these days. And we hope you enjoyed the video today. We'll see you again next time at Attica Armory.